Hello, today you are tuning in to SGSPR Radio Senior Talk, and I am with,
Federico Valledejully, Pancho Valledejully.
and I'm Carlos Valledejully. And to start off the conversation, we haven't been here since 2021 when we did an episode about COVID, and we were in 8th grade, so a lot has changed.
Yeah, I still remember that episode. We filmed it from home with our cousin, Maddie Christensen. I think it was called Silver Lining. Yeah, the Silver Lining. Yeah, that was so, it feels good to be back.
It was fun. Episode.
That was at the end of 8th grade, so we were already we were gonna go to 9th grade, and there was gonna be that transition because we were online that whole year and a little bit of 7th grade, and we already knew that 9th grade was gonna be in person, so that was also gonna be a big change to go back to school. Yeah, we've definitely faced a lot of changes these last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
I think coming in from online school and then when starting high school from off the bat in person, it was definitely a big switch.
Because we were wearing masks that whole year also.
Yeah, we had to get to know our teachers, and it was just a big transition.
Yeah. But before COVID, we were basically in elementary school because the pandemic, we went home kind of in the beginning of the second semester of 7th grade. So we were basically elementary school students, but I still remember a lot of fun memories and stuff that we did in elementary school in St. John's. So it was always super fun.
Yeah, we've been in St. John's for 14 years. This is our 14th year in St. John's since we were in pre-K, so we've definitely had a lot of fun memories. Definitely the elementary were the best years at St. John's. What are your guys' favorite memories? I would say one of my favorite memories has to be the class of 2025 annual barbecue that our dad started when we were in pre-K, and it's been a tradition ever since, and I feel like it's just a really cool opportunity to bring the whole class together at the end of the year. And it's definitely something that makes our class super unique and that I think we're all going to miss when we graduate. Yeah, I think that's also one of my favorite activities from elementary and one of my favorite memories, that yearly barbecue. It's always so much fun and everyone has such fun memories about it, and everyone gets so excited, and the teachers. Yeah, I always love hearing how excited all of our classmates are about it. They always tell us that's also their favorite part of their year. So yeah,
I think another really fun set of memories from elementary was all the playground games that we would play, BWC.
When we would play Foursquare
and volley tennis.
Yeah, that was always so fun.
Yeah, that was always really fun. And the shows was always a whole production that was super fun.
The holiday show, that was so cool. I have the best memories from that. Yeah. I remember when we did Charlie Brown.
Wait, what character was it that we played?
Schroeder. And then we switched.
We were all the same character. Yeah, that was my idea because we always liked auditioning for the plays, but that year it was it wasn't the usual play that was just for our class. It was also involving classes above, and I think we were the youngest.
We were
class.
in 4th grade.
And we were the youngest class in that play, and we wanted a role, but to cast all 3 in 3 separate roles would have been kind of weird because we were identical. We are identical. So I came up with the idea of all of us playing one character and then dividing the parts
lines.
And the lines. Because of the Olsen twins, I thought about them. And I said that to Miss Madeline, and then she was going to take it into consideration. And on the day of that the casting came out, I was so excited because we were all 3 going to play that role.
Yeah, and it was so cool when we did because I remember we would do 2 shows, one for the students and then one for the parents, I'm pretty sure. And I remember when we were doing our vows at the end, the 3 of us came up on stage, people were surprised because they didn't realize that it was 3 different people.
I think first one of us came and then the other one came.
Yeah, it was one by one. They were very surprised.
And that was super fun.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And just all of Like that was
Yeah.
probably my favorite play as well. But like
Yeah.
all of them were so much
Yeah.
fun.
Then also the one about
The
The
Greatest
Greatest
Showman.
Showman.
But that was
Yeah.
just a class show.
Yeah.
That was our 6th grade end of year show.
Yeah.
That we were
you-
I was something else. I wanted to do something separate. I was a clown, and I forgot my lines during the show, and it was really funny.
And then, but we were casted as lions, and it was funny because we weren't really acting like lions.
Because there were
Yeah.
4, because there was another lion. Wasn't it Anna and Bea that were lions?
Yeah.
Well, Anna and Bea, they were the other 2 lions, and there were 4 boxes.
Yeah.
And there were the ring bear in the middle. And we were expected to like pretend to hop from each box and then act like kind of like lions, kind of.
Yeah.
But we only rehearsed it a couple times. So
Yeah.
then we were like kind of like we were like slithering through the boxes, and it was really funny because it didn't really go how we expected it to.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
yeah, like the shows were
Yeah.
always fun.
Yeah.
And Art Beats was always super fun. Like the art show that we would
Yeah.
have.
Yeah, like going to see everyone's art, like all the things you've worked for the whole year. I remember one time Miss Snyder brought a whole car that she
Yeah.
graffitied. That was so cool.
I remember that.
Yeah, she
That was
always
really, really
gave
cool.
like her all, and like it was always so special. I remember one year I painted like this mermaid, and it was super cool. Mhm.
Yeah, I remember
And like
the-
that Pegasus, like
And the
yeah.
chandeliers, that was our class that made them. The chandeliers made of plastic bottles that then we helped
Color.
in color. And I think they're still there
Yeah.
in the Charity Center.
That's
But
super-
that was really cool. And it was
Yeah.
a good way to like help us recycle. Like I remember in lunch, we would get everyone's plastic bottle, then bring them to her. Like it was for a good like 4 weeks, we were collecting bottles.
Yeah, we always did a bunch of fun stuff in the elementary.
Yeah.
It was always a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then later on, when we started high school, that first year in 9th grade, like, yeah, it was definitely a transition year. Like, it was definitely learning how to manage like a lot more work.
Yeah. And like I remember it was difficult because coming in from online, like we were coming into like a different schedule than the one that we had online when we were in person. And it was definitely a transition. And we really had to start thinking about how we were gonna spend our time.
Yeah.
Because online and when we were at home,
Yeah, like in middle school while we
Yeah.
were online, and also the first half that we were in person in 7th grade, we didn't really join. Well, in 7th grade, we didn't join
Yeah.
any school clubs. But then in 8th grade, that's when we started getting involved. Like that was the first year I was in the community service club, and I think I tried out some other clubs. And when I was in 9th grade, I like reflected on the ones that I liked from 8th grade, and I think the only one that stuck with me was the community service club. And I think I did the Model UN for a little bit in 9th grade, but then I ended it, I think, after one competition. But yeah, and then I really liked the community service club online, so I continued it,
Yeah.
and I've been in the board ever since. So that was great.
what board position did you have in 9th grade?
I think I was secretary, which was really cool because I was working with people from other grades in high school, so I got to meet like different people and work with them, and they kind of helped me like build up my leadership skills, and that was a great opportunity also to like with that transition as well from online, because I had to some things that we do are like the Easter egg hunt, so I had to like go to the elementary, talk to people to coordinate it. So
Yeah.
that helped with that transition as well.
And now I'm thinking about it, in 8th grade, I actually did participate in after
Yeah.
schools because I was in the board of the class, and I was remembering now, like because we had to come up with
Mhm.
activities to raise money for the class, but they all had to like involve social distancing. Like we couldn't meet in a place.
Yeah.
So I remember that the board and we came up with like a tie-dyeing event. We came up with an online baking class. And like the tie-dyeing one, each person did the tie-dye in their houses. And then we had a drive-in movie night, which was really cool. So definitely, we've always been involved in like school, in the boards.
Yeah.
And
like,
planning different things in school. Like we
Yeah.
really enjoyed that.
That's definitely one of my favorite memories.
in sixth
Like
grade.
in St. John's, like always, like when I would plan stuff activities, that's always been super fun. Like when I was in the board of the student council in 6th grade, when we planned a really fun, like gaming fun day that we literally brought a cart, like a little car. It was like a truck, and it had like video games inside, and it was super fun. And then, uh-huh.
And there was an ice cream. I remember that like an ice cream cart came that day because you were the president and I was representative of the class. So we've always been involved in any sort of like ever since that was an opportunity.
Yeah.
We've always been involved in like the school government. You were the first.
Yeah, I was the first representative when that position like first became available. I ran and I won, and that was really fun. Like even though the council wasn't really my calling later on, it was really nice to have that experience. Like that first leadership role was really, I think, important.
Yeah. Being secretary of the community service club when I was in 9th grade, that was also my first leadership position. So that was really cool to like experiment with that. Because I had seen you guys be in student government elementary, and then that wasn't really for me. So then when I identified like that position in the community service club and I tried it out, well, that like I kind of felt like that connection to like school government and boards and stuff.
Yeah.
And then ever since, because we were in the NJHS in 8th grade, and I think that then we started like, and because you were in the community service club, that's when we really started like thinking more about our interest towards community service, because we were given
Like a prompt.
We were given by Paola Quiros, who was the moderator at the time. She said that for the second semester, she divided us in groups and said that we had to come up with like an initiative for service, but it had to be like online. So we came up with this idea to make art videos for the Ronald McDonald House and also donate art materials to them. And with that, then we kind of opened our eyes to the lack of
art
classes,
especially online, and especially for kids in public schools that don't have the resources to begin with to even like attend school online, and less to paint, because that's really expensive having an art class. So that really prompted us to start looking into that issue, because when we were little, we always used to love to paint, and that was a really big part of our life. And that gave us like a lot of like creativity skills.
Yeah, like free, like it allowed us to express ourselves too. And then through that, we started like finding the best way to help solve that need of art,
the lack of art
classes
in public schools.
And we tried to find like the best way to solve that.
Yeah.
So in 9th grade, we started with that mission, and then eventually we got in contact with a public charter school called Vimenti, where we have been teaching art and making our own art curriculum ever since, because we had a conversation with them, and they told us that they don't teach art, not part of their curriculum, and we just wanted to find a way to help with that.
Yeah. So ever since then, we've, like you said, like we've been given art lessons there to kinder, first and second graders and third graders. And that's definitely been the activity that has impacted me the most throughout high school.
And one of our favorite memories. Like that's at least my favorite memory
from high school, definitely. Like we've been very dedicated to it. At first, we were the only ones that went, but as we started noticing we started like seeing the impact that it had on the kids too, and the need of it. Then we wanted to get other students from school involved. So we thought the best way to do that was through making our club called Art with Purpose, where students could volunteer to come with us to Vimenti or go alone. And then that's been a great way to teach more classes than we were teaching before and impact more people. So
Yeah.
that's great. That's been great with the help of other students that we've been able to achieve that.
Yeah, and at first when we first made it a club, it was really important for us to start training all of the volunteers to make sure that the quality of the classes would be the same, even if one day we wouldn't be teaching them. So we had this trial period where we would take all the volunteers to Vimenti, we would show them how to do it, we would encourage them to just like watch us and learn from how we interacted with the kids, the type of classes that we
We're planning.
were planning. And I feel like in those moments where you're doing something new is when we really learned like the importance of like getting out of your comfort zone
Yeah.
and trying new things, because we didn't like we kind of came up with that process on our own, like that we were going to teach them, and like those next steps that we took.
We hadn't really seen anyone else kind of do something similar.
Like there was no
Yeah.
guide, there was no guide to our
Yeah, how
project,
to
so we
do
kind of had
this.
to figure it out along the way. And luckily we work really well together. We always
Yeah.
have, and we get along really well. So we were like, okay, well, this doesn't work, let's do this. Just like there's
Yeah.
also a trial and error
error.
aspect that comes with starting something
Yeah.
new. But you have to go through it, because
Yeah.
you have to go through it, and it's rough at first, but you just have to keep on
Like not give up.
not keep on doing it, and not give up, and showing up. You have to keep on showing
Yeah,
up.
you have to show dedication, because that's one of the most important
Yeah.
things for us.
Yeah.
That we've gone every single one, at least once a week. We would go every single Monday. Now we go every Tuesday. But it's the most important part is commitment, because you
Yeah,
can't
and consistency.
and consistency, because you can't make a relationship with someone, an institution, a school, without showing them first that you're committed to
Yeah.
to what you're doing with them, because that's how you gain people's trust as
Yeah.
well. If you say you're gonna be there next week, then you have to go, and you have
Yeah.
to continue. You have to keep your promises to
Yeah.
foster that relationship and gain like those people's trust, and that's what we did.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And then they have been able to thankfully welcome us with open arms at the school, and they've really helped us like reach our goals and our
And
mission,
supported
and
us. They've been
yeah,
very
and the
supportive.
communication has been great the whole time we've worked with them.
Yeah. And when we joined outreach with Miss Del Toro, she was also very supportive for anything we needed. So there were
Yeah.
also those people along the way that were always super like supportive with everything that we did.
Yeah,
Like Miss Jackie, that she
is the advisor
Mhm.
for the community for our with purpose. Miss Vanessa Ortiz, that she's the advisor for the community service club as well. She's always like empowered me and helped me to do the activities
And also
that we do, and inspired me to continue.
and also
And she's given me
given
the
you the
tools
space.
and the space to be a leader and to take charge of the service that we want to do and the organizations we want to work with. So she's really giving me that space to kind of like be the manager of the club and activities
and
we
take the
do.
reins.
Yeah.
And I
Because
think
it
that
is, most of these clubs are student run, the ones
Yeah.
that we do. They're mostly
Yeah.
run by the board, which is one of the most important parts, because if it wasn't for the students who are there, then the clubs wouldn't be
what they are.
what they are, like with UNICEF that
Yeah.
you do,
so
community service club.
I am president of the UNICEF club, and I've been on the board since I was in 10th grade. And that's been another space where I've been able to develop as a leader. And I've truly, truly learned what it's like to take the reins of a project, and attend and find communities in need and how to attend them. We work a lot with La Fundación Hospital Pediátrico, and a home for children, for orphans, and that's all stuff that you know, because you just have to have the will and the initiative to want to help and ask. I remember I asked a senior one year, can you refer to me any orphanages and hospitals where we can do community service? Like, you have to really reach out, and I mean, it all starts with a want to help,
Yeah.
but then the second part is taking action, executing, and that's something that we've definitely had to do, and something that I learned through the community service board positions that I had, and because we really had to find it ourselves and like come up with it
Yeah.
along the way.
And
Like
forge our own
we've
path.
found our own, like all of the opportunities that we've created for service, like we've made them between our boards, but we've definitely had to look for them.
So it
Yeah.
takes effort. Like,
Yeah.
it takes effort, but that's how impact is made. You have to go out
Yeah.
and go out of your comfort zone and really
Yeah. And definitely have in mind the fact that you can't just you can't go to a community, or if you want to go help, you can't already have in mind what that community or those people that you're gonna go help, what they need. You can't go pretending like you already know what they need, and you want to like take charge by yourself of what you think they need and what you think they want without meeting them first,
Yeah.
and giving them the space to express what they actually need, because that's our job as leaders too, is to get to know these communities, and then once you get to know them and create a relationship with them, you will understand, like, okay, what are the needs of these people, like how can I best help them, like not already assuming what you think is best or what you think they need before you get to
Yeah.
know these people. And that's how you really make a big impact. And yeah.
Okay, what are some tips that you have for other people in high school and grades below?
I would say that when you're choosing your clubs and the things that you want to be committed to, first of all, I would say be open to trying new things, and try a lot of different things.
It's okay if they don't work out. if you
Yeah,
don't
it's
like
okay if they
them.
don't work out, if you don't like them. But it's very important that the things that you do stick with, that you truly love them, that you truly feel like you have a connection with them, not because you think that you should be in them, or because someone told you that, oh, that's be in that club because that colleges will like it. Like, make sure that you're doing things that you
Mhm.
like and that you feel passionate about, because then you're going to do them better. If you feel passionate about something, you're going to execute whatever it is that you're doing in that club activity better, because you actually feel
Truly.
passionate about it. So that's definitely something important that I think that we've definitely lived by
Yeah.
these 4 years, that you have to find that thing that you like, which can take some work and some thinking, but once you find it, work at it,
Yeah,
and
give it your all.
give it
And
your all,
develop
and it will
it.
turn out well, because
Yeah.
you are passionate about it, and that's the whole point. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
make sure that you find that activity, and I would say that.
Yeah, definitely don't. I think for incoming ninth graders and seventh and eighth graders, just try anything that calls your attention.
Yeah.
And if you like it, stick with it. If you don't, then
Move on.
move
to the
on.
next
The
thing.
point is not to have
5 million things.
to have 5 million things
Or be in everything.
or to be in everything.
No.
It's a couple of things. It's a couple of clubs,
that
maybe
you really like, that you're gonna do well.
yeah, and that you're gonna develop, and that you're gonna that you're truly passionate about, and that you
Yeah.
truly like,
And then if you do that, you'll like inevitably make an impact in that club or activity that you're doing. And since you mentioned college, we can talk a little bit about that, because that was a really big part of the senior year, especially the first trimester.
yeah,
For us, I think we never really we generally we liked the same schools, so we were gonna apply to all the same schools.
Yeah, which that was
Mm-hmm.
hard. Like, that was hard for some people to wrap their head around, because it was the fact that, okay, so not only would we be applying to the same school, but we're also identical triplets. Like, we did a lot of the same activities, although we did different ones, but there were some similar ones. Like, we did start Art with Purpose together. We We're all in outreach. We had different leadership positions in these clubs, but we
were in the same
clubs. So that was definitely something that was worrying to some. But I think for us, we were never really worried about the fact that we were going to be applying to the same colleges because we, although we were similar, we each are our own person. And we knew that whoever was going to read our college applications was going to see that either way, although we were identical.
Yeah.
So
I think like also we have to like, I think sometimes people forget that we are our own person. Like we may be similar and we may have similar interests, but at the end of the day, we're still our own person. And just like, I mean, we are doing the same things because then I guess we love to do the same things. So
it was genuine. It was
just like we were never forced to do the same things. Like we were just gravitated to the same things.
Yeah.
Because in psychology now we're learning that like it's literally our DNA, like that's studied, like twins and triplets and multiples that are
they usually have similar
strengths.
They usually have similar intelligence, interests. So
our grades are
very, very, very similar.
So going into that college process, we
were definitely going into uncovered ground.
Yeah, we were going into
no one that we were asking advice for sure. Maybe they had worked with maybe some fraternal twins, or
which are which is fraternal twins different. Is like having two separate children, and they're not genetically identical.
They're not genetically identical.
So we were definitely going into unmarked territory. So that was nerve-wracking. We were receiving a lot of
different opinions,
different advice that were like opposite. Sometimes there were points that we were like, okay, what do we listen to? And I feel like in those points, we would talk to our parents and our family, and they would give us reassurance
and just always staying true
to what you want. It didn't matter. Oh wow, your essays, like sometimes we would have a prompt, for example, in a supplementary question of a school, and then we would all think of the same idea because that's what we feel passionate about. And some would say like, oh no, you can't write about that because your brother's writing about it. But then when we would think about it, we're all gonna write about it differently and differently.
The important thing is just to be true to yourself and to stay genuine.
Yeah.
Because if we were to force, writing, we were to force ourselves to write different things,
it wouldn't have been genuine to that person.
And we did, for our personal statement, we decided from the very start that we weren't going to share our ideas with each other because we didn't want the ideas to influence. So we just wanted each one of us to go through our own process and,
So the whole time from the summer until November 1st, we never knew what we were writing about.
Yeah, we never knew.
We only read our essays after we were admitted to Harvard. That's when we read our essays for the first time. The supplementary essays we would talk about a little bit, but the Common App essay we would never. Yeah, we never spoke about it or read each other.
There were certain clues when I would hear you guys talk about it, like, but I didn't know. Like when I read it, I was completely surprised. I had no idea.
We wound up writing about three super different topics, and when you read them, like there's different writing styles.
Yeah.
So that definitely worked. That definitely worked because we didn't go through that process that sometimes. Like we go through that, maybe like we
call dibs on something.
Like it was just like it happened
like naturally. We had very different ideas.
Yeah,
which was something that before we even started writing, like we didn't know how similar the essays were gonna be because, like for example, one time we were in a class and we were asked to pick from 100 animals, and we were sitting in two separate places, and we both picked like the starfish. Like that happens to us sometimes. We are
inevitably choose the same thing. And that's something that I would tell, like I would advise any student who's going into this process. And like looking back now, don't stress about what you're going to write about. Because I remember stressing like not only what I was going to write about, but if it was going to be the same thing as you guys. This was early on in the process. So once you get to that point where it's like, okay, I have to write the essay, like that's when you really have to worry about the topic you're gonna write about. Like don't try to like think about it from before. Like you really have to sit down, make a list. What we did was we made a list of like 20 ideas or things that were important to us or that have shaped us or things that we liked. And from there, like we like brainstormed, and then we would pick like the best idea or two ideas because then they would mix.
Yeah, I was about to say like
So
Mhm.
once you get to that point, really don't stress out about what it is that you're
Yeah.
gonna write because you might think, oh, there's nothing interesting about
me
me
And there's
or
always
something, but there's
something.
always something. Like for us, I at least when people would sometimes people would say like senior or something when we were like in other grades in high school, like they would be like, oh well, it's gonna be easy for you because you can just write about being a triplet. So then I
we-
never really thought
mhm.
about writing your college essay until the end of 11th grade, but I would always think like, oh well, we're just gonna write it about being triplets. But then
Yeah.
once I spoke with the college counselor, and she was like, no, you can't just. She would like. I remember she was like saying like for example, you guys can't just write about being triplets. And then in my mind, I was like, okay, so what am I supposed to write about? And
Yeah.
then, but yeah, just don't worry about that until you get to the
Yeah.
point that you have to write it.
Like when I found my idea and I knew what I wanted to write about, it was like it felt right. Like it felt like, and of course there's doubts, but you just have to stay true to yourself.
yeah,
I think that one of the things that I learned the most was the importance of just coming up with an idea, even though it may seem ordinary, spend time developing it and looking deeper into it and going down to the root of that idea. Don't just discard an idea because you think it's like, oh,
Like
everyone's
basic.
gonna
like
write,
give it time.
everyone has their own story and no one's alike.
Yeah.
And you know what? It can be hard because sometimes I would tell my parents like as teenagers, but we're still finding ourselves. We don't really like know ourselves that much yet. But this process
Helps
helps you,
Reflect
go
on
through
your
that
life.
process and reflect through your life.
Yeah. And like how certain events have shaped who you are today and like what you do now.
But you have to go through the process of thinking about it and reflecting, and it can be hard, especially today with so many like distractions. But you have to sit and
Yeah.
talk with your parents,
Yeah.
maybe,
And just make sure that your voice shines through. Because suggestion I would give is don't ask for advice from too many people in terms of what you're writing,
and then to read your essays either.
Yeah, or to read your essays because you never know. First of all, you never know someone's intentions, but mainly,
Yeah, like
you
I think what you mean is
also
don't ask like your like people,
random people like,
random
oh, read
people.
my essay. Like you don't
don't be waving around your essay.
But the main reason I say this is that if you ask too many people for their
Yeah.
ideas, the essence of your essay is
Will
gonna
be
get lost. And with all of these different, like I remember I sent my essay to my sisters, my parents, the college counselor, and it was like at the end of the day, I just listened to the suggestions of my mom and my dad and the college counselor because having too many people, it just takes away from the essence of your. And then the suggestions start to like contradict themselves, and it's just make sure you don't ask too many people. I would say,
And I think something else that like this process, like we were looking back, we were really brave and determined to like we wanted to apply to the same school because it's someone that we all three wanted to go to, and it was like there was definitely it was foreign ground.
Like
so
there was no handbook.
it was really important for us to take a chance, and like I think that just taught us like a lot of life lessons to
Because-
not be afraid of a challenge or the unknown. Like a lot of good lies in the unknown, even though it's scary sometimes because you don't know what's gonna happen. And to not be scared if someone hasn't done something before. Like that shouldn't be a determining factor.
And I think,
Yeah.
like, had we listened to a lot of the people around us who told us to apply to different schools and to
Hmm.
do
Different things.
we wouldn't have gotten here. So you really so that's another thing that we learned, to just trust yourself and
Mhm.
and because it turned out great.
Yeah, to
So-
take
yeah, and even if it
chances.
doesn't, then you still tried it, and it
Yeah.
doesn't really matter. But you're still gonna learn something from it. So
Yeah, that was another thing that we.
And but it's just been we've been so happy
yeah,
ever since
like
we got into
since we got
Harvard.
in. I remember the day after. That was also one of my favorite
memories.
SJS memories because everyone in the administration, all the teachers, the students, like everyone was so like genuinely happy and excited for us. Like that has to be one of my favorite memories.
Yeah. We've had so much support in St. John's, like all these teachers that have been with us along the way, Miss Heiser, Miss Erickson,
Miss
Miss
Vanessa,
Naceli, Miss Del Toro, and
so many.
so many, like
Miss Jackie,
Miss Jackie,
Miss
Biundo, Miss Alamo. There's just been a lot of like support that we've received, and we're so grateful for that because we wouldn't have been able.
Yeah, it was just
to
like a
reach.
celebration. It was like it was like a celebration. I think that was definitely my favorite,
Yeah.
like my
Day of
favorite
high
school
school.
memory
Yeah.
and my favorite senior year memory.
Yes.
Yeah.
like
So yeah, that was a great day. And I think that during the process, we didn't really tell many people that we were all applying to Harvard because it sounds crazy, like saying that like 3 identical triplets are applying to Harvard. Like that sounds crazy. And yes, some people like they would like laugh out loud, not because like it was just shocking to hear that like these three
like 3 people.
Yeah.
That we wanted to go,
Wanna
to
go to
Harvard. Like
Harvard,
that's kind of
like,
crazy.
Yeah.
So I would say, even if something sounds crazy, like if you sound like if a dream sounds too big, like definitely go for it.
Like, don't be scared. Like, if a dream doesn't scare you, then you're not dreaming big enough. This really taught me that because sometimes it was scary to think about the possibilities of all 3 of us, but we went for it and it came true. So if a dream doesn't scare you, then you're not dreaming big enough. Mhm.
Yeah, that was definitely the biggest lesson that we learned from this, and it's definitely a lesson that we're gonna carry on for the rest of our lives.
Yeah,
and
it's a really nice way to close our chapter in SJS, I think.
Yeah, and our senior talk as well.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Carlos Valledejully.
I'm Pancho Valledejully.
And I'm Federico Valledejully.
And we're so happy that you guys stayed and listened to our chats.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.